on BBC Radio Northampton. This is Ollie Mann.
Good morning, it's your Saturday breakfast show. I'm Ollie Mann with you this week through until 9am. It's 24 minutes past 7 on BBC Radio Northampton. Now, you might have heard of shop mobility services in the county, which provide things like mobility scooters in town centres. But did you know that the National Federation of Shop Mobility is based in this county? The Wellingborough-based organisation has set up a new service to help owners of mobility vehicles if they're lost or stolen. I couldn't believe that stolen mobility scooters is really a thing. Like, of course, it happens occasionally. Until I heard it in the headlines this morning, I wouldn't believe it could be a trend. But statistics suggest that more than 500 scooters were stolen in 2015, most of them never recovered. Well, Steve Perry is from the National Federation. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Ollie.
Hi. It blows my mind. Why would anyone steal a mobility scooter?
Part of it is because on things like the internet, there's been a growth of people just stealing them to sell on. And some are stolen purely as sort of things that people will use them and joyride them and then trash them and leave them. So there are different reasons why people would steal them.
I mean, to be clear, when it comes to joyriding, how fast does a mobility scooter go?
Well, in terms of just using them and abusing them more than anything, because they're only limited to 4 miles an hour.
So it's just complete hijinks, basically.
Far.
It's just absolutely bizarre. You see a mobility scooter and you're aware it belongs to someone who's disabled or elderly or both. I find it absolutely mind-boggling crime.
Yeah. It really, when we started to look into the statistics, we were surprised by the physical numbers. And the scheme really came about by people turning up at various shop mobilities around the UK and reporting the fact that their scooters had been stolen. And that really led to, at one particular scheme down in Littlehampton in Sussex, the scheme joined together with the Sussex Police Force. And part of the scheme's really come about is because there isn't a sort of a DVLA for mobility scooters. If the police want to find a car or a motorcycle, they can obviously track it through their registration number. But for mobility scooters or mobility vehicles, there really wasn't a system in place.
So there is now in the county, you've set up a registration scheme and a website?
Yes, we set up the National Mobility Register.
So this goes across everywhere, actually. It just happens to be based in Wellingborough.
It's the whole UK. And through the mobility, shop mobility schemes, if somebody wants to go in, they can register with their local shop mobility, or they can come online to the website. And what we do is basically there's a small fee of £12 per year. Uh-huh. We issue a unique identification sticker, which has a number which relates to the person who owns the vehicle. And then if the police find the vehicle, our aim is obviously to connect the two and get the vehicle back to the person who had it stolen in the first place.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's such a shame that you have to resort to that, but I suppose it is also rather odd that there wasn't any kind of registration in place.
Yeah. It just really came about that the numbers of vehicles being stolen was increasing, and as we've worked with other police forces across the UK, we found that it's not just an isolated issue, it's right across the country. So when the scheme in Littlehampton worked with their local police force, we did a 2-year trial, and the idea was to see if it worked over there. And as it became more and more apparent we needed to roll this out nationally, that's when the Federation decided to put a website together and then offer the service right across the UK.
And so that £12 registration fee, presumably that just goes towards your administrative costs?
Basically, half of it goes back into the National Federation schemes. So if people are registering, they're helping to support their local shop mobility.
Right.
The other half does go into some of the administration costs of maintaining the website and the ongoing updates of the website. But we are a non-for-profit organisation, so ultimately all the money gets reinvested back into the scheme.
Yes. Well, on that finally, Steve, obviously we're seeing an increasingly elderly population, but we're also seeing a drop in funding from some councils. What sort of future do you think shop mobility schemes have?
Shop mobility actually has a good future if the local authorities or councils or people who fund them listen to what they have to offer to a local community. There is a thing called the purple pound, and that is the amount of money that is reinvested back into the community through shop mobility. And how this operates is when we have people who come to the shop mobility schemes, we ask them to tell us once they've been shopping roughly how much they've spent in the local town centre, and we accumulate those figures up. And across the UK, there's some significant amounts of money that is going back into local communities. So when our shop mobility people go to talk to local authorities, talk to their MPs, and talk to the funders, they can actually demonstrate how much money is being invested in the local community by people who visit their scheme.
OK, and just very quick answer, Steve. If you've got a mobility scooter, can you register it from today?
Yes, there is a website that they can go to, which is, if I just give you that, it's www.n for Norman, M for Mother, R for Robert, UK.org. OK. So they can go on, hit the button to register. It'll take them through some details of the scooter. They can put an image online, which will help us with the police for traceability if it's got any special markings, stickers and anything else. And then hopefully if it gets stolen, it could get tracked. Excellent stuff. Steve, thank you very much. They will get a sticker and a receipt in the post so they can put that on. And, we're just really getting the scheme going. It was only launched at the end of March officially at a mobility show at the NEC in Birmingham. And now it's live. Excellent. Steve, thank you very much for that. Steve Perry there from the National Federation of Shop Mobility.
On FM. Online. On DAB Digital Radio. And Freeview Channel 734.
This is BBC Radio Northampton.